Hello and welcome to Full Scope Timeline Hangout number 63. Sorry about the creaking table. I said previously, more than once I believe, that I would do another live hangout soon. I was hoping this one would be live, but there's such an enormous backlog. So I'm going to call this one Clearing the Backlog. I've got a hell of a lot of material to go through in no particular order, but I'll try to put it in some sort of order. The first story was sent to me by my Australian correspondent. It's a video of a young woman named Grace Tame. Thankfully no relation to Chris Tame, at least I hope not. She was 15 years old when she began having sex with her teacher, Nicholaas Bester, who was 58. 58! He was convicted. They had sex many times. He was convicted, sent to jail, and he came out. He was interviewed a while back by Bettina Arndt, who is an amazing woman. When I visited her website, I was unable to access it. It was some sort of virus or whatever, so I had to contact her. And it would view with Tor, but not with Google Chrome, or I think with Opera or Firefox. I spoke to her and her tech guy, and it's back up now. She wrote it's a blog piece, Why Interview a Convicted Sex Offender. Last weekend, 60 Minutes tapped me for an interview I did last year with Nicholaas Bester, a Tasmanian teacher previously imprisoned over a sexual relationship with one of his students. I conducted the interview not because I condone his past behaviour, but because I'm concerned about vigilante justice. And she goes on like that. This guy has been hounded. Whatever you think of him. But what my Australian correspondent said was that Popsy table. Sorry about that. What my Australian correspondent with this video, he points out, the guy who made the video on a channel called Feminism Debunked, points out that Grace Tame's story keeps changing. I'll just play a little bit of it. She calls Bester a paedophile. Well, no, a 58-year-old who has sex with a 15-year-old isn't a paedophile. You can call it statutory rape, but one more time, as Lady Colin Campbell points out, paedophile is somebody who has sexual attraction to prepubescent girls. Doesn't actually have to. It can just be. It's just the attraction, not having sex with them, which is of course rape.
The Grace Tame story is changing, and it's changing fairly dramatically too. Now, originally, what Grace Tame told the police, and this can be found in the court report, is that I'll read you from the court report what is alleged to have happened. You had sexual intercourse with the complainant on a regular basis over the following months until December 2010. Sexual intercourse occurred on approximately 20 to 30 occasions. Okay, now what's Grace saying now? How many times? She's saying in her emotive speeches and in interviews, I've heard her say this over and over again. This is what she's saying.
My virginity to a pedophile. I was 15. I spent the next 6 months being raped by him nearly every day at school, on the floor.
There you go. So it started off, it was between 20 and 30 occasions over a 6 month period. It is now, I spent the next 6 months being raped by him nearly every day at school on the floor. She keeps saying this over and over again. She was raped on the floor at the school. So nearly every day over a 6 month period, you don't have to be a maths genius to know that is far, far more times than between 20 and 30. Now, Grace is apparently a very smart girl, so I don't think she's that bad at maths, that she's got the maths calculations that wrong. It would appear that she is now changing her story to exaggerate it to make it sound worse. Now, it's interesting how she talks about on the floor. That's the only time she ever describes where it happened. Now, He describes some other times. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Some other places.
Bester received a sentence of, get this, 2 years. 2 years. And he was he was given another 4 months. I think it was a 4 month. No, 2 years. 2 years, 10 months in jail. But that's 2 years, 10 months. No. And later he got another. I think it was another 4 months for a Facebook post. I mean, the former teacher. This is from abc.net.au. A former teacher at a private girls' school in Hobart returned to jail after describing a sexual relationship with a former student as awesome on social media. I mean, seriously, the guy's a pig. But Grace Tame, she could have said no. It may be that she came onto him, but of course that doesn't in any way mitigate it. It's 58 and 15. No, I mean, and 2 years, 10 months, he should have got a lot more than that, seriously. Even if you discount all the stuff about being raped on the floor of the classroom. But it shows, I've said this many times, that real victims, I suppose you've got to call Grace Tame a victim. Real victims, sometimes, even real victims can't be trusted. They embellish. Sometimes they lie outright. I think she's probably lying outright. But again, 2 years, 10 months. No, you should have got a much longer sentence. Much longer. Bettina suffered a lot of harassment for this, but I mean, once the guy's completed his sentence, I mean, obviously, he's studying at university now, or he was. But Vigilante, I mean, she said he's been hounded by the media and by by students and stuff. There are real monsters out there. This guy is just a complete arsehole. But it does lead to danger. It is dangerous, this vigilantism. A while ago, I think about 2014, 15, maybe a bit earlier than that, there was an Australian tourist murdered in London in his hotel room. And I don't know if they ever caught anybody for it, but the police were under the impression that it was a case of mistaken identity, because there was an Englishman extradited from no, I don't think it was extradited. I think it was kicked out of Australia, a sex offender, and it may have been that this guy was murdered in case of mistaken identity. This is where this vigilante garbage leads us. So thanks once again to my Australian correspondent and to Bettina Arndt. Right, this next case is from 2003, well, a long time ago. I nearly included this on the Full Soap timeline, but I did a bit more research, and the story appeared in the Beaumont Express of Texas, February 1st, 2003. Ferguson Parker can have his job back as Ozen High School's band director if he wants it. Parker, 25, of Beaumont, was cleared of the final charge against him Thursday in a one-day bench trial before criminal district judge Charles Carver. He was accused of exposing himself to a 13-year-old, having sex with a 15-year-old, and with a 16-year-old. He was acquitted of the indecency charge, and they said that the alleged victim's credibility crumbled. I'm not sure which victim that was, but a bit later there's a court case, Guillory, I'm not sure how that's spelled, Whitney Guillory, Guillory, Guillory v Beaumont Independent School District. And it turns out that Mr. Parker got a result. Plaintiff Plaintiff Whitney Guillory is a former Ozen High School student. In the fall of 2001, she began her freshman year at high school. She was 14 years old at the time and elected to participate in the school band. Approximately 18 months prior to Guillory's enrolment at Ozen, the Belmont Independent School District hired Ferguson Parker Jr. actually, to work as a band leader. He was not fully certified to teach. Approximately 10 years older than Guillory, so, well, still not quite the dirty old man of Nicholaas Bester, but still shouldn't have been doing this. During Guillory's freshman year, Parker was indicted for exposing himself to a 13-year-old middle school student, having sexual intercourse with a 15-year-old middle school student, having sexual intercourse with a 16-year-old Ozen student, having sex with a 16-year-old Ozen student. The school conducted a formal education of the allegations. Because of the attention Parker gave Guillory, she was one of the students interviewed in the course of the investigation. She denied having experienced or witnessed any inappropriate conduct involving Parker. As a result of this investigation, the Board of Trustees voted to suspend Parker. Parker was subsequently tried and acquitted of the criminal charges related to these allegations. For reasons not altogether clear, the board offered to retire Parker as a permanent substitute band director and reinstated back pay for a period of time he was suspended. Even prior to being retired, Parker began to have sexual relations with Guillory. This relationship continued through her senior year in 2004. On occasion, Parker and Guillory left campus during school hours to have sexual intercourse. In December 2004, Guillory's mother came home unexpectedly during the school day and discovered a partially clothed Parker hiding in Guillory's bedroom closet. This was after he was acquitted. So the guy couldn't keep inside his trousers. Criminal charges were brought against Parker as involved in inappropriate conduct. He pleaded guilty to sexual assault of a child, having an improper relationship with an educator. He served time in state custody. He's required to register as a sex offender. I mean, he may well have been innocent of one or two of these charges, but I'm not putting this guy in the database. Sorry, but that shows you have to do proper research. And here is one from 1984. Bus driver acquitted of raping passenger. An Oklahoma County jury found Wayland C. Herbert innocent of raping a lone woman passenger on a bus he was driving last June. After hearing a day of testimony, the 8-man, 4-woman jury deliberated 1 hour and 15 minutes before rejecting the prosecution charge. Herbert, who has a prior rape conviction from a federal court in Louisiana, had no comment as he left. So, I don't know what that prior rape conviction was. I'll have to look it up if it's online. Assistant Municipal Counsel Pat S. Dennis said the victim of the alleged rape already filed a $100,000 claim for damages in connection with the incident, but the Oklahoma City Council has yet to act on it. In closing arguments Tuesday, Moss, that's defending his attorney Moss, reminded the jury that while the alleged rape occurred shortly after 9 a.m, the victim waited until that night to report it to police. He raised the possibility that the woman could have consented to have sex with the driver, then reported the rape as a means of making some money. Her actions say something totally different from her words, the defence attorney said. Assistant District Attorney Barry Albert said medical and scientific evidence supported the woman's claim that she was raped. He said the woman delayed reporting the alleged rape because she was frightened and uncertain what to do. Well, so just screaming at the time, clawing at the guy's face. I don't know. I mean, this was before DNA. No, I don't think that one. I don't think that one is going in the database somehow. So I don't think that one's going in the database. I shall delete it. There we go. Next, we've got a case from Canada. This is very recent. This is February 4th. Oh no, it's not Canada. I was thinking of Ontario, Ohio, which is not quite Canada. Supreme Court decision changes definition of rape. Advocates say laws need to change, by Susan Tebben. A new ruling by the Ohio Supreme Court narrows the definition of rape in the state, and the focus on language in sex crime laws is something survivor advocates say needs to change. The Wednesday ruling came in the case of a Highland County woman. I haven't read this properly. A Highland County woman charged with rape involving a 2-year-old child. The Ohio Supreme Court reversed the decision of appeals court, a trial judge that convicted the woman of rape, saying instead the actions which she admitted to constitute gross sexual imposition under state law. Oh, seriously. Miranda Smith pleaded no contest to multiple sex crimes. For a sex act she directed a child to conduct on her. She also filmed the act and sent the video to her boyfriend. Has to be a man here somewhere. Women very, very rarely do these things without. This is an anti-feminist talking, but women very, very rarely do these sort of things on their own volition. Smith was sentenced to 10 years to life on the charge of rape. A change from the rape charge to the gross sexual imposition charge could cut her sentence down to 5 years on that charge. Though she did not argue the allegations were false, the Turner's woman appealed, saying because the sex act was conducted on her and she did not conduct the act herself, it could not be considered. So I presume it's very vague. This sounds like she got the kid to touch her privates. I mean, this is just no, this is sick, man. This is sick stuff. Again, there's a wonderful definition of rape: the illicit carnal knowledge of a woman affected by force, intimidation, threats, or deceit as to the nature of the act, and you could enlarge that to girl, child, whatever. So that's horrible. I wish I hadn't read that now. Right, there's another case here which Trevor Bauer, an American sportsman. Trevor Bauer speaks out for the first time after a sex assault case is dropped. LA Dodgers pitcher says encounter was consensual rough sex. There's a photograph of the girl's face here, and you know, all this rough sex stuff. I mean, I know there are some women who like it because they're, you know, this hybristophilia thing and hypergamy, but I can't imagine ever doing that to a woman. I can think of a few people of both sexes I'd like to do that to, but not not. This isn't sex. This is Bauer's accuser, identified by attorneys as Ms. Hill, even though she's photographed, claimed in a file that she consented to have sex with Bauer on 2 occasions, but said he went overboard by punching her, choking unconscious, and sodomising her without her consent. I mean, seriously, dude? And this guy's. Well, I wouldn't want him on my team. I'm sorry. Sex in a nice soft bed. It's with a nice soft woman. That's Peng Shui. Peng Shui, the Chinese tennis player. I've looked at that a bit more. I really don't believe she was raped at all by this guy. I think what happened was that she had a relationship with a much older man whose wife apparently either consented or was. I know his wife did appear to mind it, but it's, I don't know. It's. I don't believe she was raped. You know, in any meaningful sense. I mean, there may have been a bit of transactional thing, not money exactly, but I mean, the guy was high up in the Communist Party. Right, here's an article here. This is another sick one. Extremely dangerous predator who robbed and raped women are jailed. This is a lowlife named Abdullah Babala. Targeted 5 random women across 11 days. He was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment with an extended period of 5 years on licence. This was it's dated February 4th, but trial was it was February 3rd. He was jailed. He was convicted on May the 6th. I only got around to sentencing him on February 3rd. I mean, I've heard of COVID delay, but this is ridiculous. He targeted 5 women, robbed and raped 5 women, and he got 20 years. Now compare that with, I don't like to keep going on about Ghislaine Maxwell, but this is a woman who's she's going to spend the rest, as things stand, she may well spend the rest of her life in jail, and this low life gets, it'll be out in 10 years basically. This is the UK, not America, but I'm sorry, I just don't see it at all. There's a case here. I shall look at this. I'll come back to it at some point. This is from the Daily Mail, February 9th. British man 40 is arrested at Heathrow after a woman claims he raped her in United Airlines first class cabin on flight from New York. I find that difficult to believe. I find that very difficult to believe. So we'll have to wait for the DNA and everything to come back. It's the woman, also 40, was taken by police to a rape counselling facility. It was interviewed by officers who specialise in rape cases. Well, just take them away. Don't get anywhere near rape counsellors, for God's sake. 3 officers took scans of his fingerprints and mugshot DNA samples. He's since been released under investigation. I think if these come back negative, the case will be quietly dropped, so I'll keep an eye on it. Mark Williams Thomas has a new film out about Jimmy Savile. I must remember not to watch it. It's on Vimeo and you have to pay to watch it, so I'm not putting any money in his pocket. If you haven't watched it, check out my video, The Truth About Jimmy Savile. And there were further leads there to the Jim Cannot Fix This blogspot, and to Anna Raccoon, a vlogger who died in 2017. They exposed the whole Savile scam totally. There's an article here from 2017. Actor Abigail Breslin staying silent after rape. I always used to call female actors actresses, but there you go. I was in a relationship with my rapist. Yada yada. I told the other day I found out that the historian Mary Beard claimed she was raped when she was younger. I mean, it's like a status symbol for these women. You know, it really is. It really is. It's, I mean, just ludicrous. Now, here's a very interesting story. Very interesting. Florida Bulldog. Two victims of sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein sue reporter and author Julie K. Brown for defamation through false statements, alleged threat. Yes. This woman has been portrayed as a saintly figure, and I the more I look at this case, the more I think there was no big cover-up. That I mean, that Virginia Roberts creature has lied and lied and lied. All these women, they took Epstein's money and came back for more time and time and time again. Okay, there were underage girls, but they weren't that underage. And these two of these, Hayley Robson and Courtney Wild. The lawsuit alleges Brown mischaracterised Robson in the book as punishment for her refusal to participate in it. With the publication of Perversion of Justice, Ms. Brown carried out her threat by characterising Ms. Robson, not as a victim, but rather as an eager participant and co-conspirator in Epstein's crimes. Like Virginia. Yeah, I mean, and this little tart is still, I think she's riding for a fall, Virginia. I think she is definitely riding for a fall. I think Andrew's lawyers may have a surprise or two for her. We've got one here from Wales. Predatory paedophile raped 11-year-old girl after grooming her on Snapchat. A man raped a vulnerable 11-year-old girl. I should think she was vulnerable being 11. And he's got, what sentence did he get? I don't think he's been sentenced yet. But the question I have to ask is, oh yeah, with this case with guilty pleas, Prosser was given a 13-year extended sentence comprising 10 years in custody with a 3-year extended licence period. Seriously, 13 years for an 11-year-old? Only 13 years? But the question I have is, where are the parents? Where are the parents? How can an 11-year-old be with? I don't know, it just, you know, if you want to call this victim blaming, yes, victim blaming. No, not victim blaming. Perpetrator blame. They are just as guilty as this guy. I mean, 11 years old. Where are the parents to allow this sort of thing to happen? It's just absolutely absurd. Absurd, disgusting, in equal measure. And here's an interesting report from Nation of Change. This is February 7th. Western lies and false narratives about Ethiopia. And this is apparently, this is written by Graham Peebles, very Ethiopian sounding name. Sarcasm in case you didn't recognise it. The oft-repeated media claims of rape and gang rape by Ethiopian federal forces and Eritrean soldiers feeds the perverse notion of primitive Africans. Sexual and gender-based violence was highlighted. Gender-based violence. Loved it. So, they're saying there is no culture of rape, gang rape among society or the military. Within the TPLF, however, rape, gang rape is part of its modus operandi. So he's claiming that they want to have their cake and eat it, these people. So I know I don't believe a lot of these claims of gang rapes in wartime. Don't believe a lot of them. In fact, I've got there's an article on the Time. I think there's an audio file of false rape allegations from the Congo. Yeah, definitely on the timeline. This is quite a big story. It was the Ayia Napa. Is that how you pronounce it? The Ayia Napa rape case, gang rape. This was a few years ago now. 2019, no, not that long ago. Yes, Little Miss Innocent from England was in Cyprus, Ayia Napa, and she claimed to have been gang raped by 12 Israeli tourists. And they were arrested, and film evidence for mobile phone evidence seemed to contradict what she claimed. Then the charges were dropped against them, and she was charged and convicted of making a false rape allegation. She was allowed to come home eventually, and she appealed. Rather interestingly, Rape Crisis Scotland, the odious Rape Crisis Scotland, sent two of their so-called experts, rape counsellors, to Cyprus to educate the Cyprus police. Yours truly wrote to the police, warning them about so-called rape crisis, especially rape crisis Scotland. I got an acknowledgement, polite acknowledgement. I mean, I don't. And there's some comments here. They are, well, wanted to have been deleted, content deactivated. Why not just say never ever venture out your front door? This was not about getting fair process. The reversal was about the process led to a conviction, not she's innocent or guilty or charged. This is the same Cyprus that hands out EU passports like sweeties to Russian oligarchs, as long as they have lots of money. Poor Brexit, xenophobic Britain is too busy withdrawing people's passports. I don't think these women is more known both in Cyprus and beyond. Yes, I know her identity. I won't mention it here. I think I mean, the whole business is sordid. Do I believe she was lying? Again, I think this was. I don't believe she was raped by 12 of them. I think I pointed out in when this story first happened, I was looking for something on it, and to Pornhub or some porn site it was a video of obviously a scripted video of a young woman. So it was called something like Cyprus Gang Rape. I haven't been able to find it since. I didn't save the link. She drank a drink and then she's getting undressed and she has sex with about 5 men. It's just horrible stuff. But the Ayia Napa and the other place is it's that Spanish island, not Mallorca. It might be Mallorca. There's one or two places like that where young people from all over Europe, they go and there was one. I think it may have been Mallorca, where a young woman filleted 20 guys. It was on Facebook. She sucked off 20 guys in a dare or something. It was just really, really horrible stuff. I mean, some people got no shame. Anyway, that's the Cyprus thing. I won't be adding that to the timeline. It was all very, very horrible. What have we got here? Mason Greenwood. Yeah, this is a rather unusual case. A footballer from I think it's Manchester United. A bloke named Mason Greenwood is in a hell of a lot of trouble. And there's audio of the actual alleged rape, and there's video of photographs of really horrible stuff. So anyway, he's been suspended, and I doubt very much. I certainly don't believe he'll play for Manchester United again. This is something I may add to. I've already got this here, but I'll augment the entry. It's Kesha Siebert accused. I've got it. She accused her producer of rape, and then she claimed that he'd raped Lady Gaga as well. Gaga claims to have been raped, but by someone else when she was 17 or something. And this is from a website called Page 6. Kesha's lawyer defamed Dr. Luke with Lady Gaga rape claim judge. So I should put quote marks there. So this is it wasn't just Kesha, it was a lawyer. Kesha's former lawyer defamed music producer Dr. Luke when he falsely accused him of raping Lady Gaga, a judge's ruled. Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Sabrina Krause sided with Luke in a ruling Tuesday and found a series of tweets from attorney Mark Garagos, including false statements of fact that could result in a defamatory. She should let it go. She's obviously not right in the head, and I don't know. Just these pathetic women. Joan Collins was raped by her first husband. See, it's like a trophy. Joan Collins says she was drugged and date raped by her first husband. I did. Spoke out for the first time. She's 88 now. She's discussing. She was just 17, and her husband was 31. Now we call it date rape. I don't know. Just. And she married him out of shame. That marriage lasted for 4 years, and then she said after he told her he would pay her thousands to sleep with other men. I don't know what to make of this. Really don't know. After divorcing Reed, she said she was sexually harassed by film producer Daryl Zanuck, who kindly said, "Pinned me like a beetle to a board and said, 'You need a real man, honey, a real man.' Luckily, a makeup man came down the corridor and I was able to escape." Oh dear. And there's the allegation that Natalie Wood was this is an advert on the same page. I will link to another article. Natalie Wood's sister accuses Kirk Douglas of raping her. Well, Kirk Douglas is dead now, so do you believe it? I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. Another brief report here from Times Herald, the Herald, Sunday Herald, Scotland, March the 14th, 2016. Actress Stephanie Bisham has said she was raped at the start of her career and the incident screwed up her life. The Disney star, 69, said she was assaulted in the early 1970s, but the rapist was a fellow actor. She avoided rape several other times in her career, but the damage caused meant she ended the relationship concerning into marriage. I mean, I don't know, these incidents screwed up her life. And of course she didn't report it because, for the usual reason, they're terrified they won't be believed. Yeah, sure. So that's that one. There's such a lot here. I think I might have to do another. I don't think I'll be able to cover it all in this one hangout. This is Swindon Advertiser from 2006. A Pinehurst man accused of 2 counts of rape against the same woman has had the charges against him dropped. Michael Smith was charged with carrying out the 2 offences on June 22nd last year. Yesterday, Crown Prosecution Service had no evidence against him. Ian Faddy, prosecutor, said that following review of this evidence, it was decided there was not sufficient chance of conviction should the matter go to trial. However, he insisted the woman maintained that what she had alleged had taken place and the decision not to proceed had been taken by lawyers. I don't think I haven't got that on the timeline. I'll probably add it. This is a case I added to the timeline last week now. Last week, well, very recently. Last week. Last few days. A bloke in Macclesfield, Mario Federico, was accused of raping a child who was 31 years old. Yeah, 18 years on, or 15 years on or so. She remembers being raped, or she has flashbacks. Interestingly, the defence called an expert witness, Dr. Boakes, Dr. Janet Boakes, a psychology therapy specialist. You have to treat flashbacks which occur years after the event with a degree of caution and a hefty dose. You have to treat flashbacks which occur years after the event with a degree of caution and a hefty dose of scepticism. Yes, any flashbacks divorced by a period of years is highly likely to be imaginary or confabulated. And again, as I've mentioned before in, I think, other hangouts, Diana Green, absolutely terrible case of a woman who was raped and almost murdered. And her memory came back and it was all wrong. I have, well, it's partly this which led to me starting the timeline, but I won't mention that case now. It's still find it painful, even though it's 16 years now she's dead. Case here of this is from the Evening Standard, 26th November last year. Met police officer who was found guilty of gross misconduct for sexually touching female colleague. Just unbelievable. I mean, couldn't she have slapped his face or kneed him where it hurts? This was apparently off duty at a bar. He put his hand, began running his hands both over and under her clothing. Chief Superintendent Owen Richards, Central West Command Unit Barra Commander, said this conduct is absolutely unacceptable and there is no place for this kind of behaviour in the Met, except when Mark Kennedy and others were having sex with daffy female activists. I mean, so it's a bloke who's thrown away his career not for a leg over, but for a feel. But I would have thought that I don't know, it's just snowflake culture, isn't it? At one time, if a bloke had done that to a woman in a bar, it should be wearing stiletto heels. That would have been the end of the conversation, and she'd most likely slapped him in the face or hit him where it hurts or something like that. But it's just I just can't take this sort of stupidity. I can't take it seriously, and the reaction of these women. There's another story here from last year, which I don't know if I've covered it, though I have covered other stories about her. Eureka Johnson takes two strange men home after being chucked out of a club during boozy night out. The star also suffered with a bruised, swollen, sore wrist with scratches on it. I don't know if it's publicity seeking or whatever, but she fell over. I mean, stay away from women like this, you know. I mean, she takes two men home with her. What? No, stay away from women like this, because they can turn on you and they can accuse you of rape at any time or anything, you know. And just stay away from women like this, guys. They're toxic, and she's 54 anyway now. So there's another acquittal here. Sailor cleared of 2 counts of raping woman on Dartmoor. A Royal Navy sailor has been cleared of raping a woman after allegedly telling her she was boring when she rejected his advances and attacking her in his car in a remote part of Dartmoor. The woman told the court martial she was scared to be left for dead. She did not know what to do. But he said, what did he say? During the trial, I heard the woman had agreed to meet him for a friendly chat in his car, drove to a remote area. He said while in the car he kissed her, but she told him she didn't want to sleep with him. He had sex with her, but he believed to be consensual. He said the woman voluntarily performed oral sex. Yeah, I should include that, but I'm not going to. It's a bit. I don't like these sordid cases, you know. I mean, seriously. I mean, in a car in Dartmoor. Couldn't take her in a hotel or something, you know. Here's a story. This is from 2014. I'm not sure. I think I was doing some research on this. It's judge apologises for involvement with NCCL group linked to Pi. Yeah, I've done this before. He's done this to death. The paedophile information exchange. I remember this because I ended up defending Harriet Harman of all people. Paedophile information exchange, an odious organisation. It was affiliated to the National Council of Civil Liberties, or Liberties, whatever it was called then. and it was dug up a few years ago, and they made a big thing over it. But I've written about this actually. I wrote an article about Sir Peter Herman, who was a member, and perhaps more than a member, perhaps well, it's a very sordid story, and it's been done to death, and all this sensational garbage from the BBC. What have we got here? It's another BBC story. Lord Ahmed, yes. I'm really not sure about this guy, but he's been jailed for historical sex offences of a homosexual nature. I don't know. All these cases are really. I really don't know about them. And we've got a story here from London Metro. Police forces outrageous post telling women to avoid walking late at night. Here we go again. Victim blaming. Yeah. Victim blaming, they call it. Well, what are they meant to say? Police forces all over the country are trying to step up and better protect women and girls. Have spoken out about the daily danger they face from men. It's always men, isn't it? Always men. And whatever they do, they're wrong. People double the message outrageous, with many women highlighting they have to get to and from work at times of the day when it's already dark. Yeah, well, there was a woman murdered in New York the other day. 50-year-old black woman. Some psycho walked up and stabbed her in the back for no reason. No sexual offence, no robbery, just it's a dangerous world, you know? Dangerous world. And there are lots of dangerous people out there. But what are the police meant to do? Seriously? What are they meant to do? I don't want to sound like I'm defending the police, but these pathetic rape crisis groups and these women, they're just absolutely pathetic. They don't, I don't know. What have we got here? We've got Diana King. Is that, what's this? Dance King shows. Diana King shows solidarity. Diana King shows solidarity to Tanya Stevens. Shouldn't that be Diana King shows solidarity with Tanya Stevens? This woman has a tattoo on her forehead. Give her a miss. This woman pointed out that most of the men she encountered while pursuing a music career, it was in Jamaica, except for a few, have tried to forcibly have sex with her. You wouldn't catch me having sex with a woman who had a tattoo on her forehead. Not for love nor money. It just, again, I don't know, just hysteria. You can't take anything these women say. You can't take them seriously without strong corroboration. The strongest corroboration. Right, what have we got in the way of files here? Oh yes, Prince Andrew, yes. This case is, I think this Mrs. Giuffre is riding for fall. I read these the action and the defence, and I mean Andrew is there's lots of stuff in here which is totally irrelevant, and that photograph, of course, if it is genuine, I think almost certainly is genuine, but this woman is the pits. I can't see. Well, if it comes to court, if it goes to trial, I can't see her winning. And she's just, just pits, the pits. I was like, she's right. She's got to be riding for a fall. There's so much evidence against her, and she thinks that just because she was under 18, that gives her carte blanche to no. Probably add this to the timeline as a story. Former detectives in the Metropolitan Police's Child Abuse Investigation Team have alleged that they were ordered to caution innocent people to meet targets, as one claims his boss told him to tamper with evidence. That's October 9th last year, so that's probably still developing. A police caution can't be administered without an admission of guilt. So, this is something which goes beyond child sex investigations, obviously. There's an article here from November 16th last year. Watford Observer, but undoubtedly appeared in many newspapers. Sexual assault, no Hertfordshire police officers charged. Not one Herts police officer has been charged with sexual assault, despite 27 complaints being made over 4 years. Recent figures revealed how many reports were made against serving officers between 2016 and 2020, which included both public complaints and internal conduct matters. In October, it was confirmed 19 sexual assault claims came from the public, 5 were from colleagues, and 3 were unconfirmed as are ongoing. I don't like to sound like a police apologist, but false allegations of police of sexual assault and all sorts of things against the police are very common. I know there's a culture of covering up. I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, but the End Violence Against Women Coalition, which includes groups like Rape Crisis and Women's Aid, previously claimed few officers face any meaningful consequences for violence against women and girls nationally. Deputy Director Denzi Ugar said, "We need to see a radical overhaul of how the police respond to violence against women, especially within their own ranks." Yes! What about due process? No, I don't believe these bitches, most of them. There's a comment here. The whole tone of this article is highly suggestive in that from its journalist's research, it seems to expect that with 25 fully investigated reports over 4 years there should have been prosecutions. However, the article has presented no evidence of wrongdoing being covered up or mishandled investigations. So when is it suggesting that should have happened? That just for the hell of it, they should have selected a few officers to be dragged through the courts, their reputations wrecked, innocent or not, just to add a few numbers into the prosecution, into the prosecuted pile. Prosecuted quotes. Goes on for a bit. Goes on for quite a bit actually. There's a short quote here. Yet another example of the woke agenda, which this biased rag seems intent on following. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine police officers being able to get away with rape. Not in this country. Not in this country. And what we've got here, the victims speaking up carries stiff costs for victim of crime. Sailor Andrea Staggs agreed to have a few drinks with her Navy shipmates in San Diego Hotel in August 1994. The 20-year-old even agreed to go to a room and have sex with one of them. Oh no! I just leave it. Let's just. And what happened? So, she said she never agreed to what followed. Sexual sailor who grabbed her in the darkness. The sailor raped her, she said. And I don't think anything came of this. No, I mean, just if you let them know you're that kind of girl. On the other hand, if you don't, yeah, there are prosecutions here, but it's quite a long, lengthy article actually. This is from Dayton Daily News. I shan't be including that on the timeline. It's just sort of stupid stuff. Prosecutors, researchers come out against rape statute limitations. Oh, surprise, surprise. Yeah. So the only demented hag to come forward, accuse a man of rape at any time, or any sexual offence, any time, prove it's untrue. I think I've covered quite a bit of ground here, but it's still quite a long way to go. Right, let's just have a little dig into this text file. Child abduction gang jailed for 63 years. That looks interesting. Gang of 6 abducted child from foster carers car at knife point. After the that's Wilfred Wong. Yes, yes. Have I added him to the timeline? I'm not sure I have actually. No, I haven't got. I don't have any Wilfred Wong yet. It's just. Just ludicrous. Of course, Sabine McNeil. He's doing a 9-year sentence at the moment. And this guy got, was it 14 years or 16 years? Wilfred Wong, yes. I think I may have discussed it actually before, but yeah, just totally. This idiot has been on the Sean Atwood channel, the Sean Atwood the Sean Atwood YouTube channel more than once. Yeah, I'm going to include. I thought I included it, but just absolutely ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. Right, I've covered a lot of ground, but still one more. This is from Yahoo News, December 23rd. Rape victim recants her story 13 years later. Ottawa. A young woman whose testimony 13 years ago helped convict a Columbus Grove man of rape returned to Putnam County Courtroom Wednesday to recount earlier allegations. Gwen Blevins, now 18, spent more than 4 hours on the witness stand in a hearing centred around a motion for a new trial filed by defence attorneys representing Robert Tableman. On April the 8th, 2009, Tableman, now 38, was convicted by Putnam County jury on a charge of rape when the victim, Blevins, was less than 10 years of age. He was sentenced to life without possibility of parole, and it was upheld on appeal. Blevins, then fired, was the principal witness and testified at Tubman's trial. She reportedly told her grandmother about objects, including fingers that Tubman, her mother's boyfriend at the time, put into her anus and vagina on or about November 4th, 2008. She's really weird. I had a look and I can't find any other. Well, it says at the bottom of the page the hearing will resume sometime in February, so it might be a while yet before the outcome of this. When a woman recants that, after such a period of time, the tendency is to believe her because, I don't know, it's a really bizarre story, isn't it? Anyway, we'll put this together. Might take a day or two to get it online. Next time if I have another backlog, I will try to do another live hangout, but I've got other things that we want to do live as well. I was in a live hangout on a crime podcast last week. Was it? Yeah, I think it was last week. And I've got one or two people I want to see if I can get heads up with on their own channels on unrelated subjects. But that's it. I've been adding a bit more material to the Full Soap timeline. We've removed a few archive links, replaced them with files and whatever. And please check it out. If you have anything you want to send me or any questions to ask, you know who I am, and I will catch up with you at some time in the hopefully not too distant future.